I want you to think about the 5 people you spend the most time with right now. Not who you wish you spent time with. Not who you used to know. Right now. Today. The 5 people who are actually in your life consistently. Got them in your head? Now ask yourself honestly, where are they going? Not where do they say they're going. Not what they post online. Where are they actually going based on what you see every single day? Are they building something? Are they growing? Are they moving forward? Or are they doing the same thing they were doing 2 years ago, complaining about the same things, making the same excuses, going nowhere, but making it look normal because everyone around them is doing the same thing? Because here's what nobody tells you. You're becoming those 5 people, slowly, quietly, without even agreeing to it. And by the time you notice, it's already happened. There's a reason it's written that bad company corrupts good character. Not might corrupt. Not could corrupt under the right circumstances. Corrupts. Present tense. Active. It's happening whether you see it or not. And I don't think most people understand what corruption actually means in that context. It doesn't mean someone sits you down and convinces you to be a worse person. It doesn't happen in one conversation. Nobody pulls you aside and says, hey, let me lower your standards for you. It happens the way water shapes a rock. So slowly you never feel it. But one day you look up and the rock looks completely different from what it used to be. That's what bad company does. It doesn't change you overnight. It just makes certain things feel normal that shouldn't feel normal. It makes staying comfortable feel okay. It makes not growing feel like just how life is. It makes wasted potential feel like something everyone deals with, so why fight it? And the dangerous part is it feels like loyalty. It feels like being a good friend. It feels like sticking with your people. And those are good things. Loyalty is a good thing. But there's a difference between loyalty and being anchored to something that's keeping you from where you're supposed to go. Let me be real about how this actually happens, because I don't think people talk about the mechanics of it enough. You start spending time with people who don't have goals. At first, it doesn't affect you because you have goals. You know what you want. You're just hanging out. But slowly, and I mean slowly, their pace becomes your pace. Their conversations become your conversations. Their ceiling becomes your ceiling. You stop talking about what you're building because nobody around you is building anything, and it starts to feel weird to bring it up. So you keep it to yourself. And then you stop thinking about it as much because you're not talking about it. And then weeks go by and you haven't worked on it at all, and you don't even know how that happened. That's not weakness. That's just how humans work. We are wired to match the environment we're in. It kept us alive for thousands of years. If everyone around you was running from a predator, you ran too. You didn't stop to think about it. You matched the energy. That instinct doesn't turn off just because the threat is different now. The threat now is settling. And if everyone around you is already settled, your instincts are going to tell you to settle too. Because it feels safe. Because it feels like belonging. Because going against the grain of the people you love is one of the hardest things a person can do. And here's the part that really gets to me. The part one think about a lot. These aren't bad people. That's what makes it so complicated. I'm not talking about people who are out here doing terrible things. I'm talking about good people. People you grew up with. People who have been there for you. People you genuinely love. People who would do anything for you. But love and direction are two different things. Someone can love you completely and still be going nowhere. Someone can have your back completely and still be an anchor on your future. Someone can be a good person and still not be the right person to be around when you're trying to build something. And that doesn't make them the villain. It just makes them where they are. And you have to decide if where they are is where you want to end up. That's the hardest decision most people will ever face. Not because it's complicated, but because it hurts. Walking away from people you love, or even just creating distance, feels like betrayal. It feels like you think you're better than them. It feels like you're leaving people behind, but you're not leaving them behind. You're choosing to go somewhere. There's a difference. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for the people around you is to go become something they haven't seen yet. Because sometimes you becoming more is what gives them permission to want more for themselves. Now I want to talk about something that I think is even more subtle than the friends you choose. And that's the conversations you allow. Because it's not just who you spend time with. It's what you talk about when you're together. And most people have no idea how much their daily conversations are shaping the way they see the world. Think about the conversations you have most often. Are they about building something? About learning something? About figuring out how to get somewhere better than where you are? Or are they about other people? About what someone did or didn't do? About complaining? About the same problems with no solutions? About why things are hard and why it's not your fault and why the world is against you? Because whatever you talk about most, that's what your brain is spending its time on. And your brain goes where your attention goes. And your life goes where your brain goes. If the majority of your conversations are going nowhere, your life will follow. Not immediately, but eventually, the same way water shapes a rock. Here's something I want you to sit with. Think about a goal you had a few years ago. Something you genuinely wanted. Something that felt real and possible at the time. And ask yourself honestly, what happened to it? Did you pursue it and it didn't work out? Or did you just quietly stop thinking about it over time and now you can barely remember why it mattered so much? If it's the second one, I want you to think about who was around you during that time. Because I would bet that the people around you didn't share that goal, didn't talk about it, didn't encourage it, not because they wanted you to fail, but because it wasn't part of their world. And slowly it stopped being part of yours. That's what this costs. Not just time, not just progress, dreams. The actual things you were put here to do get quietly buried under the weight of an environment that never had room for them. And most people never get them back. Not because they couldn't, but because they never connected the dots between their environment and their outcomes. They just thought they changed their mind. They thought they grew out of it. They thought it wasn't meant to be. But sometimes it was meant to be. It just needed a different environment to survive in. So what do you actually do with this? Because I know some people are listening to this and thinking about specific people. And it's not as simple as just cutting everyone off and starting fresh. Life doesn't work that way. Here's what I think actually works. You don't have to make a big announcement. You don't have to have a dramatic conversation. You don't have to burn bridges. You just slowly start investing your time differently. You start being intentional about who gets your hours. You start protecting your energy the same way you protect your money. You start saying no to things that pull you backward without explaining yourself. And at the same time, you start putting yourself in rooms with people who are going somewhere. Doesn't have to be in person. Podcasts, books, videos, communities online built around growth and building. You start filling your mind with voices that are pulling you forward instead of keeping you comfortable. Because here's the truth. You can't think bigger than your environment allows. And if your environment has a low ceiling, you will hit it every single time no matter how much potential you have. Potential without the right environment just sits there, unused, waiting. The last thing I want to say is this. You are not a finished product. Nobody is. You are still being shaped every single day by every conversation you have, every person you spend time with, every environment you put yourself in. That doesn't stop. It never stops, which means it's never too late to change the inputs. It's never too late to be more intentional about who gets access to your time and your energy. It's never too late to start putting yourself around people and ideas and conversations that match where you're trying to go instead of where you've already been. Bad company corrupts good character. That's not a suggestion. That's not an opinion. That's just how it works. And the opposite is also true. The right company, the right voices, the right environment, the right conversations can pull something out of you that you didn't even know was there. You already know which people in your life are building you up and which ones are slowly pulling you down. You've known for a while. The question was never really whether you knew. The question is what you're going to do about it. Sit with that.